might remember me from Gene's Health and You. I was a student at the School of Public Health when we first did that video. I have recently graduated. I now have my doctorate in public health, and I am now an assistant professor of health promotion and behavioral sciences with the Brownsville Regional Campus of the School of Public Health. And I'm still working in genetics. I'm still doing genetic epidemiology. I'm still looking at genes and how that relates to disease, specifically cardiovascular disease and also obesity. And as you can tell, I also got married and had a little baby. But of course, I finished my education first because to me, education is very important. And that also helped me prepare for my family and my little girl. To me, both are super important, and to me, both are like my baby. She's my baby, and my work is my baby as well. So I don't think I could give either one up. Many people say you can't have it all, but I think you can have all at some point of the time. But I do say that I do have a lot of support from my spouse, from my husband, and I don't think I would be able to do both my career and have a family if it wasn't for him. So I think that's important that you have your support from home, but you also need to feel fulfilled as an individual, and that's why I'm happy that I can continue working in my career. I think that the simple fact that I came from immigrant parents from Mexico who didn't read or write English, and being the youngest of 6, I think I'm proud that my parents sent all 6 of us to college, and although I'm the only one who has advanced degrees, who has a doctorate, I think I'm most proud of that because they're the ones who made me who I am. I think each generation has the responsibility to surpass that of their parents. Just that I did that with my parents, I expect my baby to surpass what I've done and have more accomplishments than me. I think when it comes to your career and your education, you need to be passionate about whatever it is that you do. And you must remember that anything that's worth anything, it's going to be a challenge, and it will be difficult, but in the long run, it's well worth it.
I work on sterilization equipment that is used in laboratories and hospitals and clinics. These machines use pressurized steam to transfer heat to actually do the sterilization, and I help to make sure that these machines stay in a proper working order. I had no idea that such a career actually existed when I was growing up. I had originally intended to work in the electronics field, which in a roundabout way led me to what I'm doing now. I didn't feel that I was financially capable of going to college, and the military has always offered the GI Bill, which helps you to pay for college. So I saw that as an opportunity for me to advance myself in education. When I got out though, I didn't actually have a degree in electronics, so that kind of hindered my ability to get a job in that field. So I had to go back to school and actually get a degree in electronics. So what I like about my career is that I get to help people and I get to fix things. Now, those are 2 things that I really love. The only person that I feel really helped me get to where I am today is my mother. She really loved reading, and she got me to enjoy reading. And I think reading really helped me in the long run because it allowed me to comprehend a lot of the stuff that I have to read in the future to do this kind of work. I guess my father was also a great influence. My father was very mechanically inclined. I always felt that there was nothing that he couldn't fix. If the truck broke down, he could get it up and running the same day. And I never really understood how he did it. At least as a young boy, I didn't understand how he did it. And now I know he understood what was going on. And he understood the process that truck took to run, to operate. So when something broke down, he understood where it had broken down. As long as humans use machines, somebody's gonna have to be there to fix them. So you have job security. The laboratories that I work in can be very mundane. Some of them are as simple as testing the water quality in a drain system for a public utility. And others can be very exciting, cutting edge, where the customers that I have are actually developing new drugs that are maybe in the process of being studied so they can be released to the public. I feel my job is very critical because if those machines are not working properly, then the scientists and the surgeons and everybody involved can't do their work properly. And they really depend on our machines to do what they're designed to do. What I think is fun about what I do is I get to meet a lot of different people. I get to travel around to different accounts, visit different machines. I feel that I have friends everywhere I go. Again, I enjoy helping people, and I enjoy fixing things. And fixing things for other people makes them happy, and that makes me happy.
I do stem cell research, but research that's done from adult stem cells. So I isolate organs from an animal, usually that's an adult, and isolate the stem cells from it and then look at the ability of these cells to differentiate into other cells. I'm from a very small town in Louisiana, 5,000 people, and I lived in the outskirts of the city. So it was very family-oriented area. Education wasn't really pushed a lot. So my brothers and I all went to college. We were the first ones in our family to go to college. And then whenever I wanted to go to graduate school, I had a little bit of problems for my family because they were like, well, you know, haven't you been in school long enough? You know, it's kind of like time for you to settle down, get married, and have kids. But for me, I was really wanted to go to graduate school. So I went, and they supported me after they realized they couldn't stop me from going. And I went on, and now they're very happy. I've been able to travel around the world, and they're very supportive of what I do. So from then on, I just had to decide which college I wanted to go to, and I chose the University of New Mexico in Albuquerque. One, because they had a lot of research programs, but secondly, because there were mountains, and I wanted to learn how to ski. So I was like, it's kind of perfect. It wasn't too far away from home. I could learn a lot, and I could have fun too. The first person who was influential in my decisions for what I wanted to do was a high school biology teacher who, he was the first one who told me that I was smart enough to go on and do something else. So it was two science teachers, and interestingly, I got a degree in chemistry and biology for the two teachers. I think I'm most proud about the fact, for me coming from a small town, I was just proud of the fact that I actually graduated with a degree and then was able to succeed at the research. So for me, initially, it was just that I was actually able to graduate with a PhD because most people in my town didn't think someone from a small town would be able to do that. And then whenever I got into the field of stem cell research, we were able to publish in big journals pretty fast, which was amazing. And then I've been able to travel around the world as an invited speaker to go and tell about the research that I've done. I can't believe I've actually done all the things that I've done. In my opinion, you make a career out of something that you're really interested in. If a student is interested in helping people, which is what basic medical research people are usually interested in, rather than going and getting a medical degree, they'd get a research degree, because we make all the initial studies and all the initial findings that doctors would then use to treat patients in the clinics. So we're the first line in helping people. What I would say to students would be to have fun while you're in school, but also realize that what you're doing is going to affect your future. But don't focus so hard on the future that you forget to be a kid. I didn't do anything fun when I was a kid, so now I'm like, hey, no, go do it. Now I get to have fun.
A day in the life of a science writer is not the same from one day to another. But basically, you start out the day by seeing what has happened, trying to gather information about what happened overnight, or it's setting up appointments to go visit scientists in their labs to talk about, what they're working on. Or maybe it's collecting several of those interviews and putting together a daily story or a longer story for a weekend. Well, in high school, I was fascinated by the subject of physics, and so I went on to college and got a degree in astronomy because I liked physics and astronomy. And realized by about my junior year that there was a little too much specialization in some of the sciences that I looked into. I was interested in sort of a broad spectrum of sciences. A lot of it fascinated me. I didn't really want to lock myself in. So after my junior year, I began thinking about maybe graduate school in journalism. And so I went ahead and finished up my coursework in astronomy as an undergraduate and then looked around for a graduate school to further my education to help my writing skills. My dad has always been a writer and has kind of pushed me ever since I was young to sort of improve my writing skills, and so I'd always been pretty good at writing. It wasn't until I got to high school, my junior year, I had a physics teacher who was very inspiring, sort of teaching me about the forces of nature and how things worked, and it was really fascinating to be able to look around the world and understand kind of how things did work. And scientists are very excited about what they're doing, and they communicate that to you if you ask them about their research. And probably the most exciting thing for me is you meet, as a reporter, often some of the most famous scientists in the world. It's a fascinating ride. Every day almost is something different, and you're always expanding your mind and gaining a further understanding of how things work in the universe and the human body. It's really just a willingness to learn and to try and understand and to sort of be open to ideas and research that you didn't understand before. As a writer, you can kind of dance from one topic to another, so it never gets boring. There are a whole host of careers for people who are interested in science or technology but maybe don't have the means or the desire to spend a long time in school. My advice would be to pick up a copy of a Scientific American or Popular Science and just read and find something you're interested in. I just would say to people considering science as a career that it's an incredible growth field. Universities today, undergraduate and especially graduate programs, can't get enough of young American scientists, people who are interested in chemistry, biology, engineering, physics, medicine. There's just an overwhelming demand. There's research funding, and there are frontiers yet to be untapped. So it's a field, I think, where you never really have to worry about job security. You can just kind of have fun and follow what your interests are.
My career keeps me excited every day. I grew up with this genuine love for animals, and I think most young people have that. Can you imagine having a career where you get to do what you love and they pay you for that? It's a wonderful way to, get involved. So I took my love of animals, answered an ad actually in the newspaper for a husbandry technician, which I had no idea what that was. I just knew they worked with animals. I never thought I would get the opportunity to work in a lab. I have no college background. What's this? This is an interesting idea. I answered the ad and I got involved, and I've been doing it ever since. I was approached by a lab technician and they asked me, what do you want to do with your, future? Do you always want to just take care of animals, or do you want to advance? Well, I hadn't really thought of it. I thought, advance? Yeah, that sounds great. What are you talking about? So I went up and I talked to the investigator, and she said, the lab stuff, I can teach you to do the lab stuff. That's all textbook, that's easy. I can teach you that. What I can't teach you is how to be natural and how to work with the animals. I wound up getting that position. I worked in a laboratory for 3.5 years working with primates. And I couldn't believe that I wound up with this wonderful position, making, substantially more than I had been making. But it all had to do with my love of the animals, being able to treat them humanely, and be able to understand and work in that environment. Now, as I've moved up through the ranks, and I started without a degree, I didn't have any formal education, I just got involved, and I tried to learn as much as I could from the other people, the veterinarians, technicians. So today, I'm an animal resources manager. When I was in middle school, I had this genuine fascination for science and doing experiments and seeing how things worked and sometimes how they didn't work, but just being involved, not so much the book part, but the hands-on lab stuff and the dissection and all the different things. I never knew that there was research. I never knew that there were animals in research. I mean, it wasn't something I thought about as a, middle school, high school. I was never really exposed to that. So when I got out there and I realized all these opportunities were there, it's not something I had to go to college for. It was something I loved to do. And I really found satisfaction every day knowing that I could go in, work with the animals, do the best job I could do, and come home every night. Anywhere in the country, if there's a research facility, more than likely you're going to find research animals. So it's a nice career to have because you can find a job anywhere. Working with animals is very serious. It's very closely regulated. We have to do the best that we possibly can at all times. My main role in this whole big chain of things that happen is that I just take care of the animals. Sometimes when they have been engineered, of course they're going to have the disease, so they will present symptoms. It's up to me and my staff to make sure that we catch that, to make sure that it's reported and that we stay on top of it so that no animals really suffer. I have to be sure that I'm careful around their environment. I have to make sure that I take excellent care of not just them, but their environment. There can't be any big problems that happen in that area because it directly affects the animals, which directly affects the research. So it's up to me, even though it seems like I play a small role, I have a big role because I really can change the course of an experiment by being careless or by not catching something that needs to be taken care of right away. So there's a lot of eyes that oversee what is being done. It's not just people ordering animals and doing whatever the heck they want to. It's not like that at all. I really would like to see young people get motivated and get back into the sciences. Science is important because of just the expanding technologies and the way things are changing. Do you have a genuine love for science? Do you care about animals? Do you have something in you that is going to make you, that one step above to take care of those animals? Some of those animals are worth more than I'll make in a lifetime. There's still a lot out there that needs to be explored. There's still a lot of things out there that, I know one of these people that's watching right now is going to say, hey, I have an idea, and turn it into something wonderful to help a lot of people maybe. You never know. You just never know. I hire summer students. If you're serious about it, you're in high school, you want a summer job, go out there and see what's in your local area. Talk to some of these people and say, hey, I'd like to do a summer internship with your group. I want to see what it's like to, work with the research animals. It may not be what you want to do, but if you go out and you investigate all of that, you never know. And I've hired people that worked with me for several summers until they left school, and then they started a position with me because they had all this previous training. They were valuable to me. I'd already invested a lot into them. So anybody can do that. It's not hard. Not hard. I feel like what I do is important, not just for the animals, not just for me, but for, research as a whole, for people that have diseases that they struggle with every day and they're, praying for a cure or whatever. And I feel like if I add just a little tiny bit, if I can help out just a little bit, then I feel like it's worth it.
I'm a science teacher at Spring Oaks Middle School. My dreams when I was young was to be a scientist. I wasn't exactly sure at that point what I wanted to do, but I knew that science was always my favorite subject. And now I have realized that dream because I feel like I'm passing on my inspiration of trying to make science their favorite subject. Anytime that you're trying to explain something difficult and you see that light come on in somebody's eyes when they get it and they knew that maybe they didn't think they could get it before, but you showed them how to do it, and that's the best feeling in the world. So that's what makes my job worthwhile. I just always wanted to be a scientist. I was always very curious about things, and I always wanted to know the answer of why things were the way they were and what made things happen. And so that's what, science as a subject fulfilled for me. My dad actually dropped out of school, and my mom only graduated from high school. But my dad had always told me that was, the biggest mistake of his life was not continuing his education. And so, it was just on a daily basis. He pushed that with me of, you're not going to settle for anything less. You're going to go on. And actually now, I'm wanting to get my PhD. Just, education is definitely the key. And as far as science goes, several of my teachers were inspiring to me to go on to pursue a science career. They really made science come alive for me, and that's what actually made me want to become a science teacher. I went to Texas A&M and got a Bachelor of Science in Genetics. Then I worked out and actually in the retail sector for a while, and decided that this was not for me whatsoever. I felt like I wasn't doing anything with my life as far as inspiring anyone, or I guess making a difference, and that was really important to me. So that's when I looked into getting my teacher certification, because once you have a 4-year degree, the world's basically open to you. You've got many possibilities. If you really have a desire to do something great with your life, to touch so many different people in a very short amount of time. I mean, I've only been teaching 3 years and I've already had 450 students. So, you know, I feel like, wow, in just 3 years, I mean, look at how many people will remember me, hopefully, one day. There's always something new that's happening that you can bring into the curriculum, and that really gets students excited. You really have no idea how much you can do until you push yourself to do it. And I just think that science is a great field to do that in. I mean, you know, the possibilities are truly endless, and now I feel that I get to inspire young children and to pass on that love of science so that hopefully they will have the same and go on to become scientists themselves or science teachers.
My research focus is establishing animal models to study specific genetic human diseases. So what that means is that when a gene is identified that we suspect might play a role in an important human disease, then we make usually a genetically engineered mouse called a transgenic or gene knockout mouse that would then have the same genetic problem that the human who would have the same disease has, and then we can come up with different interventions and treatments in order to, this would be the first line in which we would discover how to treat the specific human disease that we're interested in. A second aspect of my research is in stem cell research, and here we're laying the foundations to learn more about the biology, the mechanism, and the future clinical potential of stem cells. And in our lab, we use mouse embryonic stem cells to lay some of these research foundations that then we can apply to using human embryonic stem cells for. When I was in middle school, I was always very interested in maths and sciences. That's how I probably started out in a scientific career. As I grew, I became more and more interested in medical research specifically. Medical research is very exciting because you feel like you're always at the edge of new discoveries, and there's a lot of inherent pleasure in being able to pursue something that is novel and new, and you can really express your creativity as much as you can. The second aspect is that you actually feel like you're doing something that is important and good, and that one day, if you're lucky, you may have impact on increasing the health potential of humanity. So the other rewards of this career in science is teaching. I really enjoy teaching students about the exciting new aspects of medical research that we're conducting in the lab. So there's some translation in not just having impact in the research circles, but also being able to teach the new generation of potential scientists some of the more exciting and novel areas of research. I think the major influence in my life towards this career path were my parents, who always encouraged me to do something that I loved, because I could probably make the greatest contributions if it is something I was passionate about. Also, my science teacher in school was a very wonderful man who really encouraged all of us to explore science as a possible career path, and he was a major factor in choosing this path. To pursue a science career, I think it's important to have a strong foundation in the maths and sciences that you would think that you need towards this type of career. But I think it's also very important to have a very well-balanced education, because what we usually find that communication, writing skill, and all those things that the arts would provide play a huge part and make a major impact in the career, because communication ends up being something that even if you're a great scientist, you cannot do without. I think a career in science can be very rewarding regardless of which educational level you decide to go to. So even from a high school diploma all the way to a doctorate level, you could still have very major impact in contributing to medical research. We have the possibility to dream as far as we can dream and then try to make it come true in the labs. And sometimes it is that when you come up with your wildest idea that nobody in the